Hello and welcome to today's Hindu newspaper analysis of the Delhi edition of From the Front Page. 38 awarded death penalty in Ahmedabad serial bomb blast case. Okay, special court term. It rest of the rare case. Okay, 11 face life imprisonment until death. Okay, a special court on Friday awarded the death penalty to 38 convicts and sentenced 11 others life imprisonment and until death for 2018 Ahmedabad serial blast in 56 persons were killed and over 200 injured. Okay, the court acquitted 28 accused on Friday. Okay, on February 8, but it derived the verdict nearly 14 years after bombs went off across the city, including at a hospital. On Friday, Special Court Judge A.R. Patel pronounced the sentence. The convicts were members of the Indian Mujahideen, an outfit floated by the operatives band of the organization, the Students Islamic Movement of India. They were trained to carry out blast in Ahmedabad as a redistribution for the 2002 riots in Gujarat. The prosecution sought capital punishment for all 49 convicts, while the defense urged the court to show, leniency considering their socioeconomic background, socioeconomic backgrounds, the blast and after. 56 people were killed and over 200 injured in a series of blasts across Ahmedabad city in July 2008. Look at the case trajectory. Justice time. Family members of victim along with the others, residents of Hathkeson in Ahmedabad rejecting after the verdict on Friday. July 26, 2008, 21 blast rock Ahmedabad. हराकतुल जिहाद इस्लामी और इंडियन मुजाहिदीन क्लेम्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. ठीक, 26 जुलाई 2008 को इन्होंने बम ब्लास्ट किया और हरकतुल जिहाद इस्लामी और मुजाहिदीन ने रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ले ली, जिम्मेदारी ले ली. 27 जुलाई सस्पेक्टेड मेंबर्स ऑफ स्टूडेंट इस्लामिक मूवमेंट ऑफ इंडिया अरेस्टेड. 16 अगस्त केस सॉल्व्ड एज से गुजरात पुलिस उत्तर प्रदेश बेस्ड मुक्ति अबू बसीर नेम्ड मास्टरमाइंड हिज accomplice arrested. फरवरी 15, 2010 charges framed. April 2000 trial begins. September 2021 hearing concludes. February 8, 2022 49 named guilty and 28 acquitted. This is the top heading. Return assets seized after protest against CA, SC and UP government. The Supreme Court on Friday ordered the Uttar Pradesh government to refund damages recovered from the persons accused of the destroying public property during protest against the Citizenship Amendment Act at that time. The assets recovered by the state, according to government on oral assertion in courts, are worth some crores. Khalid brought in handcuffs due to miscommunication. Police handcuffing prisoner strikes at the heart of her personal liberty advocate. CBI arrest Delhi municipal councillor. Why? The Central Bureau of Investigation on Friday arrested East Delhi municipal councillor Geeta Rawat and a private person on graft charges. The other accused has been identified as Bilal, said an official. The case pertains to the allegation that rupees 20,000 had been demanding for extending favor of complaint in laying the roof of his building, unhindered manner. High Court restrains publication of demogatory letter. Why? DU to admit PhD students through DUT. Why? Delhi University will conduct admissions for postgraduate and PhD courses for the session 22-23 based on the DU entrance test result as the previous practice it shared on Friday. The clarification comes against the backdrop of the university deciding to conduct UG admissions on the basis of the CUCT results. Earlier this month, the DU had formed an 8-member committee for the CUCT till last year. The admissions were conducted on the basis of the cutoff marks for majority of the undergraduate courses, while there were entrance exam for the PG courses. Okay. Scores of Anganwadi center in cities such as protest continues. A life hiding after the riots. The mental dreads of protected witness who has no knowledge of the statement written in his name is not most important. Refund details being worked out. Okay. Let's move to an editorial section. India needs a refuge and asylum law. Most important, very very most important article from here. Okay, on refugees issue, it ought to be among the most admired nations and not one that has much to be ashamed of as of now. इसमें भारतीय शरणार्थियों और उनके रहने की व्यवस्था जो है वो इसके बारे में थोड़ी चर्चा की जाएगी. इसको आप अच्छे से ध्यान से सुनेंगे. मैं बाइलिंगुअल रखूँगा. दिस month I introduced a private member bill. Okay, that is Shashi Tharoor, written by Shashi Tharoor. This month I introduced a private members bill in the Lok Sabha proposing the enactment of refugee and asylum law. The bill lays down comprehensive criteria for recognizing asylum seekers and refugees and prescribes specific rights and duties accruing from such status. It was made necessary by our government continuing disrespect for the international legal principle of non-refoulement. Okay, the commensurate of refugee law, which states that no country should send a person to a place where he or she may face persecution, and even more, its betrayal of India's millennial traditions of asylum and hospitality to strangers. A slew of examples. The government has shamefully expelled to Myanmar two batches of Rohingya refugees in the face of a grave risk of persecution in the country. Okay, they had fled. In conducting this act of refoulement in violation of international law, the government revealed both religious bigotry, the refugees were Muslims, and intolerance. It has attempted to do the same Chakma in Arunachal Pradesh and Myanmaris in Mizoram. Today, Afghan students stranded in India by takeover of their country by the Taliban have not had their visas renewed and could find themselves in a similar predicament. Okay. My bill would put an end to such arbitrary conduct by the authorities. The right to seek asylum in India would be available to all foreigners irrespective of their nationality, race, religion or ethnicity, and a national commission for asylum would be constituted, receive and decide all such applications. The principle of non-refoulement is clearly affirmed with no exceptions, though regions have been specified for expulsions and revocation of refugee status to respect the government's sovereign authority, but limits its discretion. When I use the word refugee, of course, I don't so in the internationally accepted definition of the term, which embraces people who have fled their home countries and crossed the international borders because of well-founded fear of prosecution in their home country on grounds of race, religion, nationality, membership of a particular group, social or political opinion. This means that people who cross borders in quest of economic betterment or because they are fleeing poverty, anarchy or environmental disasters do not qualify as refugees, nor do those flee from part of their home country to another because of war, conflict or fear of prosecution. Okay. India has been and continues to be a generous host of several persecuted communities, doing more than many countries, but it is neither a signatory to the 1950 Geneva Refugee Convention nor does it have a domestic asylum framework. This is ironic given that our record on asylum goes back millennia from the Jewish people who fled to India okay, centuries before the Christ, after the demolition of their Jerusalem temple by the Babylonians and then Romans, to the Zoroastrian flaring Islamic persecution in Persia, Tibetans Tibetans to Tibetans, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka Tamils are more recent years, as well as the streams of Nepalis, Afghans and the Rohingyas. It so framed, okay, was our reputation as land of asylum that a defeated Cleopatra thoughts. Okay, Cleopatra thought of sending Cleopatra thought of sending her son on the safety of India's best coast before killing herself. Alas, her son made the fatal mistake of turning back midway to stake his claim to the throne and meet with a gory end, or he might give lived happily, okay, ever after into India. In fact, in fact, it is quite deeply embedded in the Indian psyche, the okay, that nobody should ever have to face the predicament of being driven out of their home. Our great epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, both dwell at great length upon the injustice of the protagonist being forced into the exile, and the okay, and the nobility involved in the extending support and succor of the exiles, and the fact that one of our most festivals, Deepavali, celebrated the okay homecoming of refugees after 14 years of exile, demonstrates fully how important the concept of home and the homeland is to an Indian. Given this history, India sought to be a natural leader on the question of refugee rights on the world stage. However, our, our present actions and our lack of legal framework does our heritage no credit, seems us in eyes of the world, and fails to match up to our actual past track record. Okay, no uniform law. In the absence of a uniform and comprehensive lack to deal with the asylum seekers, we lack a clear vision of our policy of refugee management. We have a cocktail of law such as the Foreigners Act 1946, the Registration of Foreigners Act 1939, Passport Act 1967, the Extradition Act 1962, and the Citizenship Amendment Act 1955, including the controversial 2019 amendment also, and the Foreigners Order 1948, all of which club all foreign individuals together as aliens, because India has neither subscribed to international conventions on the topic, okay, on the topic, nor set up a domestic legislation framework to deal with refugees. Their problems are dealt with in a dark manner, and like other foreigners, they they always face the possibility of being deported. इसका मतलब यह है कि भारत के पास न तो भारत ने किसी अंतर्राष्ट्रीय रिफ्यूजी से संबंधित शरणार्थियों से संबंधित अंतर्राष्ट्रीय संधि पर कोई हस्ताक्षर किए हैं, और न ही भारत के पास कोई ऐसा कानून है जो रिफ्यूजी को अपने यहाँ जगह दे सके। समझ गए? इसके बारे में ये इसमें बहुत से जो मैंने एक्ट बताए उनके बारे में चर्चा की गई है। When we speak of refugee protection, we often limit ourselves to just providing asylum, और सिर्फ उनको हम एक शरण देते हैं। जब भी हम बात करते हैं इस बात की, तो हम उनको एक शरण कहीं न कहीं देने की बात करते हैं। We need a proper framework to make sure that refugees can access basic public services, be able to legally seek job and livelihood opportunity for the some source of income। और हमें रिफ्यूजीज शरणार्थियों के लिए एक बेहतरीन एक अच्छी पॉलिसी बनानी होगी, एक ऐसा कानून बनाना होगा जिसके तहत उन्हें लाइवलीहुड मिल सके। द absence of such a framework will make the refugees vulnerable to exploitation, especially human trafficking. In 2011, when India come out with a standard operating procedure to provide long-term visas to asylum seekers, I had pointed out that in the absence of law, the application of these notifications can be easily tampered with based on the political and extraneous reasons. Our officials want freedom to do as they please, for political other reasons, without being confirmed by the limits of law. We can and must do better. India must enact a national asylum law such as the one I have been demanding for years and presented Parliament earlier this month. Okay, India currently hosts the then 2 lakh refugee, but Bharatiya Janata Party government, okay, Clarice attitude to the Rohingya and other inconvenient refugees risk putting us the global, okay, doghouse. Because, okay, my bill, if enacted, will instead put India at the forefront of asylum management in the world. Okay, it will finally recognize India's long-standing and continuing commitment to the humanitarian and democratic values while dealing with refugees. शशि थरूर चूंकि कांग्रेस पार्टी से बिलोंग करते हैं, इसलिए भारतीय जनता पार्टी को कंडम्न कर रहे हैं, क्रिटिसाइज कर रहे हैं, लेकिन हम सारे शरणार्थियों को अगर यहाँ जगह दे देंगे तो फिर भारत का क्या होगा, ये भी एक चीज़ है। सतीश थरूर, पहले इस बात को आप सोच लीजिए। ओके, इट ट्रबल्स मी दैट ए कंट्री विद प्राउड ट्रेडिशंस एंड नोबल प्रैक्टिसेस रिमेन्स लीगली नाइदर कमिटेड फॉर नॉर ओके obliged टू डू एनीथिंग फॉर रिफ्यूजीज इवन इफ बी बिहेव ह्यूमनली इन प्रैक्टिस. I think it is high time the government reviewed its long-standing reluctance to sign up legality on what we have already been doing morally. International law involves no obligation that we have not already undertaken voluntarily. To refuse to enact a refugee law that matches the highest standard of international conventions out of an anxiety not to be bounded to the basis of the international community is unworthy of a major country like India. After all, we are increasingly moving from being a subject of international system, a rule taker, as it were to be a rule maker within. Our judiciary has already shown the way forward on this. Okay, in 1996, the Supreme Court of India ruled that the state has to protect all human rights living in India. Okay, living in India, irrespective of nationality, since they enjoy the rights guaranteed by Article 14, 20 and 21 of the Constitution to all, not just Indian citizens. समझ गए? अनुच्छेद 20, अनुच्छेद 14 और अनुच्छेद 21 सभी के लिए है, भारतीयों के अलावा सभी विदेशियों के लिए भी है. Based on the premise, the Supreme Court stopped the forcible invasion of Chakma refugee who are the living of the belong from the Arunachal Pradesh state of country. Siege. Okay, refugees who had entered Arunachal Pradesh in 1995 in the landmark NHRC versus state of Arunachal Pradesh case. Okay, the court held that an application for asylum must be properly proceed until a decision is made by whether to grant or refugee asylum. The state cannot forcibly evict an asylum seeker. At the same time, with the different judges come different approaches, as we have seen in the Rohingya case. The enactment and the enumeration of refugee rights will reduce our dependence on judge-centric approaches, or even worse, the whims of Home Ministry bureaucrats, police officers and politicians. Worthwhile aspirations. We should build on the Supreme Court's vision and pass my bill or something be like it. We should become among the most admired nations in the world, not one that on the refugee issues has much to be ashamed of now. The problem of refugee worldwide are problem that demand global solidarity and international cooperations. India as a pillar of world community. India as a pillar of world community, as a significant pole in the emerging multipolar world, must play its own part on its own soil as well as on the global stage. In this noble task, in so doing, we would uphold our own finished traditions and the highest standard of democracy, as well as demonstrate once again that we are what we have long claimed to be, a good international citizens in an ever closer night and globalizing world. This is worthwhile aspirations for all of us who care about what India stands for at home and in the world. If Mr. Modi government want to be a Vishwaguru, it should be have like one. समझ गए? शशि थरूर ने कहा है कि हमें दुनिया में अपनी प्राचीन परंपरा और धरोहर को बनाए रखना है, जो कि हम दुनिया को हमेशा प्रोटेक्शन देते रहे हैं, शरण देते रहे हैं, और हमेशा हम दुनिया की एक भावना से मदद करते रहे हैं, तो हमें उनके लिए एक बेहतरीन कानून बनाना चाहिए। ये इस आर्टिकल का जिस्ट है। समझ गए। थसी शशि थरूर, मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट कांग्रेस एंड ऑथर से ओके सेवर्ड द यूनाइटेड नेशंस रिफ्यूजी एजेंसी ऑफ द यूएनएचसीआर फॉर 11 ईयर्स 1978 टू 1989। ही इज ऑथर ऑफ द बैटल ऑफ द बिलोंगिंग। समझ गए। बैटल ऑफ द बिलोंगिंग के लेखक हैं, मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट हैं। समझ गए। नेक्स्ट, revisits the term of use for this scholastic ABC. UGC Academic Bank of Credits scheme could induce more chaos than positive disruption in higher education. The National Education Policy, okay, the National Education Policy 2020 has recommended a revamp of the higher education scene, okay, in India to make education more student centric and multidisciplinary. A new initiative stemming from this desire is an academic bank of credit, also known as ABC, in higher education idea, which was notified recently by the UGC. Okay, recently by the University Grant Commission for the implementation. Theoretically, this idea can usher in positive disruption in the Jaded higher education sector in the country. But in reality, this disruption is more likely to usher in chaos. Okay, why ABC? The idea is very simple and appealing. Any undergraduate or postgraduate student can create an account in the ABC portal, okay, and store information of his her completed courses, that is subject, okay, papers in old terminologies, and grades obtained. These grades are stored for a period of 5 years. Thus, for example, if any student need to get back to education after a break or has to relocate another city, they can easily carry forward their completed credits. But that is not all. As multiple institutes are connected to the ABC portal, okay, one can be formally enrolled in University A but can choose to do some courses from University B, okay, B some more from University C, and so on, and all of these would count, okay, towards the student's degree. In principle, I may be enrolled in a BSc physics course in college in Mumbai, but I find my college does not offer an elective course in nuclear physics. This is no problem at all. I can enroll myself in an equivalent course from another, okay, college in same city, join online courses offered by other universities. I can even enroll myself in SWAYAM, also known as a program initiated by the government of India, or the National Program on the Technology Enhancement, okay, Learning, also known as NPTEL, okay, and these credits to my ABC. I could even choose an online elective course, say the Tamil literature or archaeology or pedagogy. Thus, education will truly become flexible and interdisciplinary without forcing any, okay, single institutes to float an unimaginable number of courses. Even if the student does not care about interdisciplinary electives, this flexibility will offer them a chance to enroll in a course and learn from teachers, okay, from some of the best institutions such as the Indian Institutes of Technology, also known as IIT, or the Indian Institutes of Science, Education and Research. Okay, now the problem. However, there are a number of practical hurdles which could make this scheme unworkable. First, let us assume that IIT offers an elective course which is going to taught by the fabulous teacher. ABC regulations say that the institute should allow up to 20%, okay, supernumerary seats for the students enrolling through the ABC scheme. That would mean 20 extra seats if there are 100 regular students, but there are 500 applications through the ABC scheme wanting to register for the courses. Okay, so how does the host immediate the IIT, our example, make the selection of 20 out of 500 would extra human resources, okay, extra human resources be provided to handle such requests for the elective courses offered each semester? The regulations are, okay, silent about this. Massive open online courses, also known as MOOC platforms such as the SWAYAM and the NPTEL, which are discussed earlier, okay, are supposedly designed for the large enrollment. So let us assume that we work out some mechanism to direct all overflow of request at the individual institute level to these MOOC platform. So far we have not found any evidence in the public domain that these MOOC reforms platforms can provide a reliable assessment of learning achievement if there is a massive enrollment for a course. Okay, there would be some kind of assessment through multiple choice questions based test, all right, but we should remember that one of the merits, okay, metrics of success these courses is student performance in the final assessment. This would be in the interest of the courses coordinations towards scores liberally and point a rosy picture. This is not a hypothetical fear. Some reputed institutes have already put in place guidelines to adjust the score obtained by the students in MOOC before it's accepted in the institutions records. Moreover, at a deeper level, can MCQ multi-choice based questions test ever be a honest indicator of the learning that actually happened? This also brings us to the next question. The ABC portal will, okay, ABC also known as Academic Bank of Credits. Okay, Academic Bank of Credits portals will allow courses from a larger of higher education institutions. The filtering criteria in the original regulation was higher education institutes should have obtained an A grade for higher in the latest round of National Assessment and Accreditation Council, also known as NAAC accreditation. That filter has been removed now. But anyone who has seen how NAAC accreditation works will laugh at this suggestion. Okay, on excellence. Okay, lastly, let us look at this scheme from the point of view of small colleges, the ABC, also known as, okay, the ABC scheme. The ABC scheme specifies students can avail up to 70% of courses of other institutes, okay, while being enrolled in a particular college. If students avail these credits outside the parent college, they need not enroll for the corresponding in-house courses, as the number of teaching posts in any higher education institutes are calculated on the basis of the student enrollment numbers. What happens when a large fraction of students do not enroll for the courses of the offered by you? Mind you, this trend will not necessarily hold a mirror to the quality of teaching in small higher education institutes. If as a student I have a choice between learning the same courses from a faculty of IIT IISER versus learning it an in-house teachers in a small higher education institutes, I would not even care to find out if the in-house teacher in the higher education institutes is a competent teacher. The brand name would be an attraction. As a whole, this scheme has all right and laudable intentions and would probably work in village society with a more equitable distribution of resources. But in India, where the quality of education varies drastically from one institute in the next, this can lead to unimaginable academic and administrative systems in higher education institutions with the brand names, and lead to a contradiction in the number of teaching posts in the smaller higher educations. Okay, smaller higher educations. Okay, as a whole, this scheme has all rights and laudable intentions. Education institute brand names and contraction in the number of teaching posts in the smaller higher educations, okay, with grade influences being a real imminent danger. The quality of degree is bound to deteriorate. The UGC must rethink expeditionally how to implement this scheme. Okay, basically this article is written by Aniket Sol, is a associate professor Homi Bhabha Center for Science and Education, also known as Mumbai. The view expressed are personal. Okay. Wrong solution. India must address urban rural disparities, not use reservation as a panacea. This is most important article on the basis of the gap fulfilled by the government recently. Many schemes launched by the government of India, okay, to fulfill the rural urban disparities. The issue of reserving private sector jobs for people domiciled within the same state may face its first judicial test soon. The Supreme Court has asked the Punjab and Haryana High Court to decide within 4 weeks. Okay, the validity of the Haryana law mandating 75 reservation for the local condition private sector job that pay up to rupees 30,000 a month. Okay, even though the apex court aside an interim stay order granted by the High Court, it was only doing so because the stay was granted without assigning reasons. It is a settled principle that legislation cannot be stayed, okay, unless there is a preliminary finding that in unconstitutional of offers from any glaring legality. There are quite a few issues that arise when the state introduces a quota in the private sector, especially if it is based on the domicile norm. Andhra Pradesh and Jharkhand have, okay, also introduced such law, while the ruling DMK in Tamil Nadu, okay, has promised 75 reservation in its election manifesto for last year assembly polls. Okay, given the bleak employment situation in the backdrop of the reported loss of millions of jobs during the pandemic, it is no surprise that the leadership in every state seek to the finding employment opportunities for its youth. In some states, employers may find it cheaper to use the services of those from a far away state, while in others there may be an acute shortage of labor within the local population. Basically, these articles may discuss in earlier classes, okay, on the issue of the Haryana private job on the basis of the 75% of reservation. The first hurdle, पहली बाधा यह है, the first hurdle that a law such a Haryana State Employment of Local Candidates Act will face is the constitutional bar on discrimination on the basis of the place of birth residence. Okay, this is the first hurdle. Even though the constitution allows the government to preside residential criteria for employment to public post, it is doubtful whether such a measure can be extended to the private sector. In the Haryana case, it covers companies, societies, trust, partnership firms and individual employers. The industry may feel aggrieved that the residential requirement may adversely affect the hiring talent from outside Haryana. Okay, from an individual point of view, okay, the law may impinge on the freedom of movement, the right to reside and settle in any part of the country, and the right to carry on any occupation. Of course, an act provides for exemption to any employer is an adequate number of local candidates who are not availing in the terms of skill qualification and proficiency. And there is a sunset clause. The act will cease to operate in 10 years. Beyond the question of legality, what is flagged by such development is the state of the economy, especially the labor economy. Rapid urbanization and the agrarian situations are behind a large-scale migration in search of employment. The real issue to address is the widespread disparities between the urban and rural areas, between advanced states and backward ones. Okay, this is sufficient. Foreign quarters. India must show maturity in response to the international criticism of international matters. Why? Why this article is recently in news? Okay, close on the heels, HWL's heels on the government's sharp summons to the South Korean ambassador over social media post by private companies. The Ministry of Home Affairs summoned the Singapore High Commissioner following a speech earlier this week by the Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong. Okay, where he said he may decline in the political probity in India after the Prime Minister Nehru tenure. Okay, he warned that Singapore must stem any political corruption if it is not go down and the road. The speech was an expected broadwide despite the high press of the Nehru. The government felt once which merited raising the issue of the uncalled remark with the okay. Sorry. Okay, understanding of Indian politics. Second, he spoke a similar Israeli politics and British Partygate scandal. Okay, finally, his speech set in a greater context as be invoked. The confusion guidelines for social behavior to unite a country, rituals, righteousness, probity, and same. This is the part of the ethics. Okay. His 5,000 word speech on the subject contained just one Indian examples where he had even praised the founding fathers of the independence movement, and then dar- decreed a slide in values since then. The comment, while harsh, does not merit a strong heated response. Okay, it is possible to argue that Mr. Lee examples were arbitrary and contained unusual criticism for a country that has otherwise friendly ties with the Singapore. Okay, even that the issue at hand was breach of privilege matter in the Singaporean parliament where an opposition member, okay, with had been found guilty of lying in the houses. The Indian mention was certainly not required. It is even possible to argue that Singapore very controlled over vision of democracy cannot be compared to India's more, okay, vibrant democratic traditions. However, the strong reaction New Delhi displayed evinces and insecurity adjust these traditions. The fact that it comes on the back of a series of other summons, demarches, and statement reacting to the other government for speaking about India's internal matters add to the disimpressions, especially given that the Modi government, okay, frequently comment on the internal issues of its seven neighbors. While this event is likely to cause, okay, then a private across the border historically deep, okay, bilateral relationship with the Singapore, the government must avoid an international reputation that lends itself to the spoke, okay, Shakespearean lines that it doth protest too much. So this concludes from the Hindu editorial newspapers. Okay, handcuffs and social fabrics in tatars. The controversy over disallowing girls in hijab in classrooms, citing a uniform dress code, is no longer confined of the Karnataka coastal districts. Okay, that is known as Udupi. Kebbe Aditya Bharadwaj explores the genesis of the row in Udupi and the context for its rapid spread across the state. What is the gist of this article only in a short manner? Okay, as the sun set on the coastal town of Udupi in Karnataka, Tuesday, 70-year-old Alia Asadi sat on the step of the Jamia Masjid, her mind racing different directions. She wants to be a wild photographer. She worried about her board exams, but her thought keep circling back to the violence and anger over her choice of the, okay, attire, the hijab. Asadi is one of 6 students of the government pre-university college for girls, Udupi, who has been barred from the classroom since December 27, okay, December 27, 2021 of a wearing hijab. I have been wearing a hijab since I was 6-year-old. It is religious and it gives me a sense of security and confidence. I am uncomfortable removing it. Okay, what I don't understand is why I am being forced to choose between the hijab and education, she says. Okay, her fight for the right to wear the religious headcrafts in addition to the prescribed uniform to school, which she has taken to the Karnataka High Court, has exploded into what he is called the hijab controversy in Karnataka. Okay, this has spread like wildlife, further exposing the communal divide and growing lack of trust between the Hindu and the Muslim communities. Okay, fueled by social media, television channels, and Hindu Muslim students organizations, there is a deadlock across the state with the defining image teachers closing college gates on girls clad in hijabs. Okay, this comes at a time when 5 states are holding assembly elections with all eyes on the community. Okay, ripe Uttar Pradesh as well included in this section. How it began? While the local Bharatiya Janata Party leaders insist Asadi and her peers have been brainwashed by the, okay, radical student organizations, also known as the students themselves, say otherwise. Okay, so all about this situation from the Karnataka High Court. Okay, heard by Karnataka High Court, basically on the issue of the hijab. Russia welcomes India stand on Eastern Ukraine situation. Why? issue can be resolved only through diplomatic dialogue, says India at an UNSC. The Russian embassy here on the Friday welcomed India's balanced, principled, and independent approach in response to India's statement at the United Nations Security Council welcoming the implementation of the Minsk agreement. It said provided a basis for a negotiated and peaceful settlement of the situation in eastern Ukraine. Any steps that increase tensions may best avoided by all sides, it stated. कुल मिलाकर ये इसका मतलब यह है कि रसिया ने स्वागत किया है भारत का यूएनएससी में, चूंकि शांतिपूर्वक मामले को सुलझा लेने के लिए पैरवी पे. यूक्रेन हैज़ एक्यूज्ड रसिया of ceasefire violations in the regions of Donetsk. Donetsk is the city in Ukraine. Luhansk also is a city in Ukraine. Weapons prohibited by the Minsk agreement. It stated that their armed forces strictly adhere to the Minsk agreement and reforms international humanitarian law. Speaking the UNSC on the implementation of the Minsk agreement on the Ukraine permanent representative of India, T.S. Tirumurti said, the welcoming of Indian nationals is of priority to us. Welcoming the efforts underway for the implementation of the Minsk agreement, including through the Trilateral Contact Group, also known as TCG, and under the Normandy for mandate the urged all parties to continue to engage through the all possible diplomatic channels, keep working towards the implementation of the agreement. Any steps increase tensions may be best to avoid by all sides in the larger interest is securing international peace and security. Quiet and constructive diplomacy is the need of the hour. He stated that this issue can be only resolved through diplomatic dialogue. Defensive actions, Q. Blaming Russia for the situation in the temporary occupied territories, Commander-in-Chief of the Ukraine Armed Forces, Berly Jalunki said that armed forces of Ukraine strictly adhere to the Minsk agreement and the norm of the international humanitarian law. Do not plan any offensive operations or the selling of the civilians. Our actions are purely defensive. So this is claim done by Ukraine. 3 Air India flights to Ukraine next week. They are scheduled for February 22, 24, 26. There are 3 flights from the India to Ukraine in upcoming days. 38 get death in penalty in Ahmedabad blast case also discussed. NIA arrest in former SP for the leaking second information. Ahmedabad Mumbai bullet train is priority, says Modi. I&B ministry bans official on data security. Abhishek Banerjee details and Trinamool's general secretary. Narrative for a change gets under when Punjab places 1 lakh jobs every year. That is, Punjab Chief Minister Sri Charanjit Singh Channi with the State Congress President Navjot Singh Sidhu claims will put an end to the liquor and shand mafia. Rajaj and manifesto for the Punjab. Only 1 lakh job provided by years if be election in the upcoming years. Election Commission gives BJP MLA more time to respond to notice. Clip showed him threatening more voters. On the trial of the Odisha Common Police trace his 27 marriages in 10 states so far. How SEBI officials had to be rescued from NSC. So this concludes for today's Hindu newspaper's analysis. Thanks for watching.